Hi, everyone, and welcome back to In the Kitchen. I am your host, Kerry Siggins, CEO of Stone Age, which is a parent company of Breadware. And I'm so excited to have my two guests here today. First is Kenta Yasukawa. He is the CTO and co-founder of the company Soracom, which you're going to learn all about today. And I also have Ryan Carlson with me here today, who's the head of digital marketing for Soracom. So thank you two for joining me on the show.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
so much for having us.
Wonderful. All right,
We're
Kenta,
so excited.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. So excited to learn more about what you guys do. So, Kenta, let's start with you. So you started Soracom a couple of years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and why you co-founded this company?
Sure, of course. Yes, we started our company and our service back in 2015. The reason was that I used to work as a researcher in connected home, connected car, the early phase of IoT in the past. And I also had a chance to work in AWS, Amazon Web Services, as a solutions architect. So the idea was that there will be countless number of devices out there, and they need to somehow securely connect to cloud backend to be able to implement IoT use cases. And we realized the need for scalable, reliable, smart connectivity platform for IoT. So I worked with my two other co-founders and started a company so that we can offer smart connectivity that is built on top of cloud environment so that we can connect all different types of devices to cloud.
That's great. Now, Ryan, I know you have a great kind of a good analogy that explains exactly what you do. Can you share how you explain Soracom's value proposition?
Absolutely. So I've spent the last 23 years building connected products in commercial spaces, industrial, all the way from car washes to laundromats. And one thing that really connected with me, on what Soracom does when I first was talking with Kenta about how they were doing things is we've all gone to websites. We've all, been in, seen big server racks. Some of us have gone to data centers. You go and you go to the back closet and you're like, here's all our data. Here's all of our information. And somewhere along the line, companies like Amazon said, you know what? Why have the expense of having this closet full of hardware when we could move it to the cloud and then we can scale up and down where Black Friday hits and we can go 1,200 times the amount of CPU that we would need on just a regular processing day. So that fluid, flexible, virtualized environment really disrupted that data center industry, right? And that data stuff is expensive. Turns out that to this very day, cellular carriers, the stuff that a lot of these IoT devices rely on, still have ginormous data centers. You've got your antenna, the big carrier tower that connects to a big data center, and in that data center are specialized racks of hardware. And it costs a lot of money to maintain it. They're highly specialized to build it. And somewhere along the lines, Kenta and his team said, well, what if we took what we learned at Amazon Web Services by virtualizing hardware racks, and we take that expensive part of cellular infrastructure and build it on top of AWS. So whether you're needing to add 1 million devices or SIMs or turn on a private network, it eliminates all of the work orders, because it can take up to 3 months to a year just to get your own chunk of hardware set up in one of these carriers' data centers so you could then privately send information over your corporate network over cellular. Whereas with what Kenta did is it's a click and it just spins it up. So you can have a Black Friday moment anytime on your cellular network and ramp up, ramp down. And it created a level of flexibility that puts what only enterprise had access to all this time at the fingertips of developers, R&D, or people that are just trying to get up and running really, really fast. So it's really cool. I've been constantly going, where was Soracom when I needed a service like this? And instead had to go through the pain of waiting 6 months to a year or just not even be able to leverage cellular in the way that people can now in the current day. So there you go.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I think that does a good job of helping paint the picture for people. Kenta, maybe you can talk a little bit about how you think that that Soracom is going to either disrupt how IoT products are developed, or make it faster, make it the user experience better. Can you talk a little bit about that vision?
Yeah, of course. Ryan touched upon important points. The Amazon actually changed the world by opening Amazon Web Services. Before doing that, the people had to purchase, servers and run it in the garage, and you had to build everything by yourself. So, since I had an experience working at Amazon, then I saw AWS has changed the world of web services. So what we have been trying to do and wanting to do is we would like to offer Amazon Web Services for IoT. That's how we started. So Soracom, by using the platform, you can actually go to our website and create an account, and anytime you can start using our platform features and services. Normally, if you're using cellular connectivity or IoT project, you would have to go to carriers or MVNO, virtual network operators, and make a contract and NDA, and have to do all the stuff to get started. But in our case, you can just go to our website and sign up on our console, and you can start to build the systems right away. And you can, if you want to run the connectivity on cellular network, you can purchase our SIM card from our web interface or Amazon or partners like DigiKey and Mouser and get started on building systems. So definitely from day one, you have all access to all the features that we have. And we have on top of our connectivity layer, we have features to make the system secure and remote on-demand device access easier and troubleshooting easier. So you have all the power to build the secure, scalable IoT systems.
And you work with multiple carriers, right? So that is another advantage of being on the Soracom platform, is that then if you're, say, traveling from area to area with your connected device, you don't necessarily have to be reliant on a carrier that might not have as many towers in a particular area or something like that. Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Sure, of course. Our global connectivity SIM card and eSIMs, they support multiple carriers in each country, and we have covered 150 countries and more. So the devices can be shipped from anywhere to anywhere, and they can use the local cellular network to connect back to our cloud-native cellular environment. So that's how it works. And especially a country like the United States, there are areas where multiple carriers, you need a multi-carrier coverage to be able to connect IoT devices. Our SIMs and eSIMs make the multiple carrier networks available just by using one single SIM card and one single cellular module. Devices can use the carrier connection that is stable in each area and talk to cloud infrastructure by using the connection. That is certainly a big advantage of using our solution.
Yeah, I can.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, the thing that always surprises me too about the technology that Kenta and the engineering team put together is we've all seen the spy movies like Jason Bourne, where they're like, they get a SIM and then they have to snap it in half, and where you have to like swap SIMs, or like, oh, you go to the retail store and they're like, oh, sorry, we're going to make some changes to your plan. So throw away your old SIM. Here's a new one. And you're like, this is such a hassle. Kenta and the team, they developed a whole, like, almost like smart computer platform that works on the SIM, so they can push new software, new instructions, new plans, new regions, all of that over the air through the SIM without any code. So the next time you power up your device and it talks to a tower, it goes, hey, there's some new profiles to pull down, and it just does it, and people don't have to think about it. So, they always say that the best IoT products are the ones you never have to think about. Like, the magic just happens. And so it's really neat to see how that's changing. And in the world of, Kenta keeps saying eSIM, which is an embeddable SIM. So now instead of having to have the little removable SIMs, think about how many industrial or commercial applications with vibration.
Yeah.
Things that move a lot. And what I've come to learn is that those little SIM slots, like, as those chips move around, they can wear out, they can short out, and now you can actually just, at the factory level, solder that little embeddable SIM right onto a board, and by being able to push over the air, that thing is good to go. As it gets better the longer you have it. So you can't say that about too many things in life. So it's kind of neat.
So, Ryan, I mean, that's such a great description. Why wouldn't somebody developing a new IoT product use Soracom? I mean, it seems like a no-brainer with the technology that you're developing and the flexibility that it offers. What are people when people aren't doing this? What are they missing?
What loaded question. Well, why wouldn't they? To be completely honest, there's the big carriers. They have ownership or licensing over very specific
Yeah.
bands. So if you're in like a first responder type application, you're going to need to use one of the larger carriers. But for most IoT applications, you don't want to have to maintain a bunch of different carrier relationships, negotiate a bunch of different plans. With Soracom, you can go and you can get a developer account. You can be working right away. You can set up pay as you go. You can use one SIM for any number of different applications. And then talks to the cloud natively. You can turn on a virtual private network natively. You can do all of these things that require no code. And so that means faster time to development. You use a larger carrier, you got to build all your own infrastructure, all of that device to cloud infrastructure. Whereas if you're already on AWS, it's kind of convenient that Kenta built the whole platform on AWS. So it means that a lot of these native cloud platform services that are on Amazon Web Services or even Microsoft Azure, our infrastructure is in the cloud. And your IoT application 99% of the time is going to live in the cloud. And so all of these things can talk without touching the public internet. I'd say that's the biggest sleeping giant here, is that if you put any carrier SIM into your IoT device, it has to go from the device out to the public internet, from the public internet to your AWS instance. Whereas with Soracom, it goes from the tower to the data center to right to Soracom in the cloud, and then from the cloud to the cloud. And it skips that whole public internet jump. So that means anyone who's looking at security conscious, we do a lot of energy. Like I'd say one of the coolest things is these little robots, that explosion-proof robots that Mitsubishi Heavy Industries makes, where instead of having to fly someone in a helicopter out to a big oil rig, they have these robots that can climb stairs and investigate pipelines and look at leak detection. And those things are remote controlled over cellular. And so you don't want to it gets into like a weird Terminator, futuristic sci-fi dystopian thing when you've got robots that have got like saws built into them and cutting torches that someone could get into. So they get to operate on their own private network, never touch public cloud. And remotely control these things when they need to, when they can't go on the autonomous mode. I mean, there's gas meters, like over 1 million gas meters. Nichigas has a combination of cellular, where they can't get like a Sigfox or a LoRa type signal, so they can use different types of signals, but it's all managed through one console, one platform. They call that blended networks, and they're even launching things like satellites, so you can have a truck, like think of an oil field truck out in Africa that's going from the main base, the garage, where it connects to Wi-Fi, and your device gets to transact over there, cost you nothing. And then you leave the garage, and then you start driving down the road, and now it switches over to cellular. And so you're going to have asset tracking and alerts and all that stuff. But then it goes so far out into the field where even those field cellular setups, you can't get signal, it then switches over to satellite. And it's all one bill, it's one continuous service, and one continuous private network too. So Soracom has built these tools to make it so it's not just cellular, it's not just a SIM card, but now engineers can just focus on what is the right tool for the right job and not worry about the connectivity piece, even all the way down to some of the administration around the life cycle. I could gush on and on. Again, you put enough of these things out in the field and you start running into operational
Right.
uh, snafu's not the right word, but there's a lot of hangups. that I think you just don't think about beyond cost and coverage.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And what about your relationships with the carriers, right? So maybe Kenta, you could talk a little bit about this. I mean, how do you partner with them? Do they see you as a competitor? How would a person looking to use your solution to develop their IoT device look at the two choices?
Yeah, definitely we partner with carriers, and that's how we serve our customers. So for example, we got acquired by KDDI, one of the largest telcos in Japan. Our relationship started was our partnership. So they have the similar networks in Japan, and they have a connectivity solution. But in order to serve IoT customers, there needs to be a way to fill the big gap between internet connectivity and real smart connectivity, which is something that the Ryan has mentioned. There are things to think about, like security is one of the most important things. And when it comes to remote device management, there needs to be a way to run a remote access. You need to also think about how to provision those devices and keep them before sending to the field. So KDDI also wanted to have a connectivity solution for IoT. That's how we partnered with them, and we have been offering solution together. Likewise, we have been working with carriers in various parts of the world so that we can serve more customers globally. And when it comes to those features, there are so many undifferentiated common heavy liftings needed in IoT. For example, I mentioned security, so let me start with security. There are ways to build a secure private network on top of existing traditional carriers, but the technique is called private APN. You get your own APN configuration. You may know, when you put the SIM, you used to put the APN configuration on your phone so that you can connect to the internet and network. Private APN is your own dedicated APN so that you can create a secure link from the devices to your backend through carrier network. Usually you need to set up a VPN router in your environment. You need to have a several months long project with carriers to set up a VPN connection between your data center and the carrier network. But since we have built everything on top of cloud and we have a cloud native cellular core network, as Ryan also mentioned, you can just launch a virtual private gateway on our network. It's a virtual server running inside our cloud environment. And that cloud gateway can pair with customers' virtual private cloud easily. Just a matter of clicking around on the web console, and experienced person can do it in a matter of minutes. So the lead time can be in minutes compared to the several months. So there are quite some customers who found us because of the capability. Because many people have been running cloud-based backend nowadays. So it's natural choice to use Soracom to be able to build a secure network in matter of minutes and get started on IoT projects.
I see that as a full circle, though, that we've gone from Internet of Things to now we're moving to intranet of
Right.
things, right? And the ability to quickly deploy a bunch of devices that can securely look at one another, but nothing else can see them, or an intranet of your corporate IT team gets to set up, or your corporate cloud team. And that intranet of things is mission critical for industrial, for energy. There's even a lot of the, I don't want to call it industrial espionage, but there's a lot of secrets that can go over some of these asset monitoring situations that you wouldn't want people to know exactly what's happening. Every time I hear like someone say, well, what's your relationship with the carriers? I always think about Mint Mobile, and that everyone's like, oh, we love Ryan Reynolds. I'm like, I do too. He's great. And $15 a month, that's great. When the reality is they're just buying a bunch of block time from T-Mobile. And so that's a MVNO, a mobile virtual network operator. And we are a mobile virtual network operator. We're a Mint Mobile, but it's for IoT.
Right.
And we happen to have this relationship with all of these other carriers. So rather than having to be limited to just one carrier, because we virtualized all the hardware, we don't need T-Mobile's hardware closet or AT&T's server racks. We've combined them all up in the cloud. And so we can deploy these intranet of things over a publicly available series of different carriers network, because they've put the billions of dollars into putting the towers everywhere, whereas Soracom is putting the time, energy, and intellectual property into that one centralized component. So it's kind of neat to be the Mint Mobile of all of these different carriers, allowing for a simple, no-nonsense price, making it really easy to bring your own device and just get up and running. I never actually made this parallel before, but all of these thoughts of just, come on, it shouldn't be complicated.
Right.
You shouldn't have bad customer experiences, because think about how many times you're like, oh no, I'm having a problem with my phone. It's probably, you're in for at least 45 minutes or more. And one of the things that when I came to Soracom, I learned that the customer satisfaction rating for the support department was 100%. And it was only just this like a month ago, they had one survey that threw all of the one of the support ticket request responses, it kind of threw it all off. So it's like 99.7%. We're like, so how long have you maintained that 100%? It's like, only 15 months.
Yep.
15 months of having people so happy. And so that's actually one of the cool things about working at Soracom, is getting to know that there's a real focus on customer centricity and a focus on getting people up and running. And so, yeah, I'd say it's the Mint Mobile of IoT.
And you can be the
I-
Ryan Reynolds of Soracom.
Oh, we share a name.
I know, right?
Yeah,
The
I'm
Ryan
there.
Carlson of Soracom, just like he's the Ryan Reynolds of Mint Mobile.
Now I just need to go out and buy a soccer team.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. It's that
Yeah.
simple. All right.
Yeah, so
we're
by working with the carriers get the capability that we provide on top of their connections. That's how our relationship works. So the private networking is one thing, and we can also add the customer support. We are expert in the IoT connectivity, so we can troubleshoot. And we have also a bunch of features to enable cloud integration easier. Like, for example, nowadays people use AWS IoT or Amazon Kinesis video stream to be able to build a secure, scalable IoT solutions. We have features to use OSM as an authentication token and send data to those cloud services. Carriers can have those type of capability that we offer on top of their connectivity offering. That's how we partner with carriers.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's brilliant. I love this. I love it. I'm so glad I met you guys. All right, I have one last question before we wrap things up here, and I'd like to hear each of your opinions. Looking in your crystal ball, a couple of years down the road, let's say 5 max, because none of us really know what the future is going to look like. Where do you think IoT will be, and what piece of advice do each of you have for people who are building IoT devices? Kenta, let's start with you.
Yeah, so the Internet of Things started by the concept of connecting everything to the internet, and they talk to each other all the time. But in reality, because of the security, as Ryan said, what we want to do today is to build the Internet of Things. Your devices and your servers can talk to each other in a secure environment. That's what we should do today, and that's what we are recommending to do. And that's why we have all these features to make that happen. But now all the devices are securely connected to the cloud environment, and the platform is now built. And now the, artificial intelligence has been evolving so fast. And since the data and devices are securely connected inside the cloud, and the AI is happening. So I think the next step because people have built all the Internet of Things, and the cloud is in the kind of hub in the center. So the next step would be to really build a true Internet of Things on top of these, multiple Internet of Things that we have built together with our customers and partners. So that's the future I'm looking forward to seeing, and it will be realistic now in a few years time frame.
Yep, I agree. All right, and Ryan, how about you?
in a world where artificial intelligence
Yes.
is touching everything,
Yes.
and I don't even joke about this. The Internet of Things, specifically what we're doing with connectivity, 5 years from now, AI is so data hungry. It is voracious. And what it can do with just even a few additional data sources, 5 years from now, data scientists are not there to provide context to data saying, oh, well, this
Yeah.
data actually means this. They're actually there to oversee and provide governance to machine learning operations. I think there's 5 years from now, there's a whole generation of jobs that do not yet exist
Yeah.
today that people are only doing as hobbies. And the Internet of Things has the capacity, Kenta talks about at Soracom, their vision is to see everything in the world connected. And I think that means more than just cellular.
Yeah.
5, 10 years from now, whatever the next generation of wireless or innocuous means of communicating needs to be able to be backwards compatible with all of the other types, whether it's LoRa, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth Low Energy, Zigbee, all of these things. I, I don't care, AI doesn't care, and the product owners and product managers of the future don't care.
Yep.
It's just get me the data, because the more we can feed in, the more value that can be created, the more insight that can be generated using all of these different tools. And I actually don't see a future of Skynet where the robots take over the Earth. This is very much a scenario of we have an opportunity to overcome humanity's greatest challenge, which is our own ability to see patterns in vast, large data sets. We can't grasp big numbers.
Yeah.
That's why we can't go spend $1.2 trillion. Like, we can't wrap our heads around that. But to ChatGPT 4, its ability to crunch numbers and just look at context based off of, September of 2021, like the internet stopped for it, and yet it can extrapolate so much based on what we can feed it now. So I say in the future, entirely new jobs, machine learning operations is like a whole new world of data science, and that everyone will be seeing more and more ubiquitous involvement of AI when they don't even realize
Yep.
it. So that was a
Yeah.
long way of saying that.
Great. I agree. Wonderful. Well, gentlemen, this has been such a great interview, so insightful. I hope that a lot of people learn about the value that you can bring as they're developing their IoT solutions. Really, really cool stuff. So, Kenta, congratulations on building this cool company. Ryan, thanks so much for coming and sharing your expertise, especially having built products before. It's been really, really, really enlightening and insightful. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. All right, everybody. We'll see you next month. Thank you.